We are beginning a couple-week series that comes from the book of Ephesians. The church in Ephesus, from what we can gather, was a diverse church. And there were many variants within all of that diversity, but there seem to have been two main groups, the Jews and the Gentiles. Now, the Jews had this automatic in to many of the Christian teachings. After all, they shared Jesus' religion. So when they heard that Jesus had said, "I come to fulfill the law and the prophets," they understood what those laws and prophets were. They had an established religious culture. They had the laws of Moses and all the ways of being that came from the interpretation of those laws. There were rituals, literal markings of their faith, foods that they could eat, days that they could work. Their religious identity pervaded all of life. And for the Gentiles, there was a culture of the broader world. Their reality was living in a world that was colonized by the Roman Empire. They came from polytheism, so the worship of multiple gods. And they too had rituals and ways of being. They too had a way that they moved in the world. And these two groups, with ways of being, with cultures, with things they held dear, were coming together to form the Jesus Church of Ephesus. So how would they do this? Now, the Jews could colonize the Gentiles into their faith, right? That would be one way. Had they done that, then we would still have ritual circumcision and our diets would lack bacon. Glad they didn't go for that. They could also throw away all religious life and start completely new, what we would maybe call a blank slate of faith. I think we can also be quite grateful that that's not the route that they went. And here is what Paul had to say to them in his letter. I'm just going to read from Ephesians 2:17 through 22. So Jesus came and proclaimed peace to you who were far off, and peace to you who were near. For through him both of us have access in one Spirit to the Father. So then you are no longer strangers and aliens. You are citizens with the saints, and also members of the household of God, built upon the foundation of the apostles and prophets, with Christ Jesus himself as the cornerstone. In him, the whole structure is joined together and grows into a holy temple in the Lord, in whom you also are built together spiritually into a dwelling place for God. The word of the Lord. Paul is exhorting the people of the church in Ephesus to go about all of this thing in a different way. It's a harder way. A way that will require both groups to give a little. A way that will reap surprising rewards as they also gain a little. It's a way of humility that is going to require some rethinking and some willingness to bend. It is a way that is going to take a whole lot longer than colonization or throwing it all away. And this way is going to result in a whole new, ever-evolving culture. A household of faith built upon the only foundation that can be laid. As I've been talking, have you been drawing any connections? Not hard, right? It is not hard to see College Mennonite Church of 2022 on the pages of the letter to the Ephesians. And I find such hope in this. Hope that we are not the first ones to try to find a third way. The church has been doing this hard work for 2,000 years, and it's going to continue to do so. We are in good company. And it gives me hope that we have more than two options. We don't have to colonize. We don't have to throw it all away. Instead, we are all going to give a little and gain a little, and together deepen how we know Jesus. It's going to be painful sometimes, and it's going to be joyful sometimes. This summer, we are going to lean into that joy. That's why I called the sermon, Step into the Joy. That's the invitation here. We're going to hear lots and lots of stories. And if you don't think that you are a storyteller, don't worry. There will be plenty of prompts to help you discover and tell your story this summer. It's going to be playful, a very playful 4 months. And sometimes you will hear some deeply personal stories. I am confident that as you engage in these activities, you will be inspired on a weekly basis. And in all of this storytelling, empathy will grow. And as empathy grows, we will gain wisdom. Wisdom of what to let go of and what to hold on to. Wisdom as we lose a little and gain a little. We'll take one more step in becoming and discovering the culture of College Mennonite Church, our household of faith built on Christ. As Menno Simon's favorite verse proclaims, no one can lay any foundation other than the one that has been laid. That foundation is Jesus Christ. As you all share stories and grow together this summer, may you always remain grounded upon the strong foundation of Jesus Christ.